Welcome to the God Took Me to Las Vegas broadcast. I'm your host, Randy Mortensen. This is a weekly 25 to 30-minute program where we provide answers for your I don't know how. Whether you're dealing with recovery issues, emotions from a loss, or maybe life has just thrown you one more curveball than you were expecting, I'm so glad that you're here. My guest today is just a brilliant guy named Chris, and he's got just a ton of wisdom that he's going to share. And he's an author of 3 books. So it is always great to have people joining from coast to coast here in North America. And last count, had people signing on or listening or watching from 46 or 47 countries around the world. So thank you for taking time from your busy schedules to connect. Depending on the platform you're watching or listening to this on, if there's a subscribe button, we'd love it if you would hit subscribe. If you're on one of the channels like a Facebook page where you can leave a comment, please leave your comments. We hugely valuable those comments and the feedback. For more information on what God's got me doing these days, you can go to my website, which is randymortensen.com. Randy, the last name Mortensen, MORTENSEN.com. And we'll talk later about a 21-point assessment that's at that website that will determine whether you or a loved one is maybe eligible for one of my programs. So Chris, great to have you here from the great state of Florida. So welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. And hello, everyone who's listening. My name is Chris Terzakos. My website is healingwarriors.com. I can be reached at any time. I wrote 3 books, Hernia Without Surgery, How to Increase Testosterone After 60 Years Old, and I wrote a memoir about my life, my life story.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So anybody that's listened to at least 1 or 2 episodes of mine knows that my usual first question is, what is there that you know today that you wish your 22-year-old self would have known?
Oh, my God. Great question. I wish I had all the experience and all the wisdom at the age of 22. The learning stages, the learning period. Today, I have to go look back at this question that you asked and look back and say, when I first wrote my memoir, I said, who would want this life? But then again, in my memoir, I said, if I didn't have this life, I wouldn't be able to help anyone. I wouldn't be able to share my wisdom. So
right.
To answer your question, I wish I had the wisdom, the know-how, the knowledge at the age of 22 that I have now.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, for sure.
I would say probably 98, 99% of men would have that same acknowledgement, don't you think?
Exactly, of course,
Yeah.
But that's what life is, though, Randy. Life is experiences, learning curves, bouncing back from adversities, just going through, trials.
Right.
So, that's who we are today. So I'm here. I'm here today. Thank you for having me again, Randy. I'm here to help anyone that's listening. I'm here to help you.
Right. That's awesome. So let's turn the pages of the calendar back a few years.
Okay.
You're now a teenager growing up in New York. So talk about those teenage years, and clearly that shaped you to be the guy you are today, and just to put the passion in you to be able to help and serve others.
Okay.
What was it like growing up in New York, and who were you as a teenager and into your 20s?
Okay, good. So being a teenager in New York, first, it's not easy. Back in my time, there was a lot of things going on with street gangs back then. You had Spanish gangs, you had the black gang, you had the Italians, the Irish. So back then, you had to gain respect. So you didn't need to be a tough guy to get respect. You just needed to be like a stand-up guy. If you were a stand-up guy, then you got the respect. So growing up in the streets of New York, it was fun. We had a lot of fun. That was like the disco era. So, we used to go dancing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. We used to go dancing 3 days a week. I was actually a pretty good dancer. And, we loved to dress. Back then in the 70s, was the John Travolta days, Saturday Night Fever, outfits. So that was part of growing up. I played baseball. I came very close from being a major league ball player.
Wow.
I was always an athlete. I was always involved with some kind of working out, weightlifting, running, bicycle riding. So yeah, I almost became a baseball player. It didn't happen because I didn't have the right. I come from a broken family, so my mother raised 4 kids, so I didn't really have the guidance. And when I turned 15, almost 16 years old, things weren't going too good at my house with my mom. My mom was getting involved with another man. She was going to marry him. Being young and stupid, I guess I was. I just wasn't working for me. So she called my dad. My dad came to get me. He said, "You're going to live in Grandma's house." Grandma lived on 29th Street in Manhattan. I
Oh,
said, I said, okay. I said, so I'm going to live with my father. So make a long story short, my father stayed with me 2 days in Manhattan, getting me acquainted to all the stores. He introduced me to Charlie's grocery store, the butcher. And my dad said, you're gonna go to school here, and every Friday my father was going to come and pay the bills, pay the grocery store. And I said, Dad, you're not going to live here? He says, no, no, no. Sit down. I got to talk to you. I sat down. He said, but I want you to keep quiet about this. I said, okay. He says, I live uptown. I said, oh, okay. So I'm going to live here by myself? I'm 16 years old. I'm going to be 16 soon. He
wow.
goes, yeah, you're going to stay here by yourself. You're going to be responsible. You're going to go to school. You're going to cook. You're going to do all the things like a responsible young man. I said, okay, Dad.
Wow.
I'm doing it. So here I am, 16 years old, living in Manhattan by myself.
So,
Nice.
so you weren't living with your grandmother. It was just her house.
No, my father kept her apartment. When she died, when she passed away,
Wow.
my father kept her apartment. I guess he kept it for sentimental values. And
Sure.
back then, I remember the rent. My rent was $80 a month. And I live in a beautiful Italian neighborhood. You could leave the windows open. You could leave your front door open. Nobody will come bother you back then. Neighborhood was good, and I was living there by myself at
But
16 years
as a
old.
16-year-old, you lived by yourself.
Yeah, I lived by
That's
myself. Yeah.
amazing. And then would dad come and stay on the weekends or
No,
not?
no. Every Friday he'd come see me. He'd go pay the bills. The grocery store. He'd give me my money that I need for transportation for school.
Wow.
And then he would go leave until he introduced me to his wife, and my father had 5 other kids. So I have half brothers and sisters from my father. My father,
Okay.
he made 5 other kids with another woman.
So plus then you had three with the same mom, three siblings with the same mom.
Yeah, so my father altogether had 9 kids.
Oh my goodness.
Right, and then when I met them, it was the greatest thing in the world. They introduced me to so many things. They introduced me to dancing. That's how I learned how to dance. They
Wow.
they introduced me to dancing. It was like they all waited for me at the front door when I first made an entrance, and they were all standing there. They're almost the same age as me, so I was like, "Wow, this is going to be pretty good."
That
But
is.
but I,
Yeah.
but I did stay downtown. I didn't move with them. I wanted to stay by myself. Actually, my best friend Johnny, he used to stay with me like 4 days a week. He'd stay with me, so he kept me company a lot.
I can't even imagine. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine. And so you finished high school and I mean I would not have finished high school. I can guarantee you that because I just didn't have the discipline that you somehow came up with for
Well,
sure.
I really didn't finish high school.
Oh,
I didn't really. I finished. I was 11th grade, a little past 11th grade, right before my 12th year. Um, I wasn't going to school, like you said. Here I am. I'm dating all these young girls, and I'm dancing 3 days a week. And I just said, you know what, the hell is school? And that's where I messed up with the baseball. And
all right. Okay.
and actually, my baseball coach actually came to my house, banging on my door, and he started yelling at me. And he was telling me, "What's the matter with you? You have a future ahead of you." He gave me this whole lecture, and you know what? He was right. He's right. I didn't have the right. I'm not going to say family. I'm not going to blame my family. But
Right.
if I had a dad there that was to push me to play baseball and come to my games, then
Yeah.
maybe it would have been a little different story
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. And I would just say to that, to because in the recovery world that I live in,
Sure.
we've got a couple of dads even at our meeting last night that are really struggling to be part of their sons or daughters' lives. And I would just say, Chris, that you're a powerful testimony about how important it is to have that dad in your life,
Right.
right? Or
Sure.
those parents that are functional. And no matter what our poor choices are, we can't really blame anybody that other than ourselves. However, just from a psychological impact, between the ages of 12 and 18 are where a lot of our future decision making is learned, right?
Right.
From a
Right.
psychological standpoint.
Right.
So, wow.
What
Okay.
what I what I learned about Healing Warriors, which is my website,
Yes.
healingwarriors.com. What I learned about being a healing warrior, take responsibility for what you're not responsible for.
Right. Right.
I'll die with that saying.
I like it.
Take responsibility for what you're not responsible for. You'll become a healing warrior just like myself.
Wow. Wow. So then you moved into the construction industry
I did.
and had a great career and still somewhat involved in that space. And then what was the aha moment for you to want to help others as a healing coach and to really pour your heart and your life into seeing others thrive?
I see what a fractured world we live in. This world is totally fractured. I worked with a lot of young kids. I coached baseball for 3 years. I won three championships back to back to back.
Wow.
Okay, I mentored kids. I brought kids into kids that had troubled families. I brought them all into the union. They're all in unions today.
Wow.
They're in their 40s or early 50s. So I gave them a career with a union, whether it was a laborers union, a carpenters union, because I was connected with unions in my lifetime. So I felt good helping people. I want to help you. I want to show you that it's not over. It's never over unless you want it to be over.
Right. Right.
So you know what? I'm here to coach. I'm here to talk. I'm here to, so you could hear my voice. If you're disciplined and you're dedicated and you set some goals for yourself, guess what? You're on the right path.
Right. So with Healing Warriors, who's your ideal client? Somebody listening to this could be a dad or a granddad or a mom or it could be that young guy himself. Who's your ideal client? Where have you seen the greatest impact?
I have so many ideal clients.
That's awesome.
I think all of them are, Randy. I'm sorry to say, but all of them are ideal.
Okay.
They all have different stories. They all need different help in different areas. But most of them, the young guys listen, but still the young guys like to stray because they're young. It's the older guys. They're more disciplined and dedicated, and they sit more, they think more about what I talk about.
Okay.
So I'm going to say in between the age of 45 and 60 or 65, most of my clients, they listen.
Okay. Okay. But you do work with younger people.
I do,
I heard
yeah, I
you
do.
say. It's just that the results maybe are a little tainted just because of the lack of commitment. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, but then again, they have setbacks, just like I did, and just like you did. When you're young, you say, "Oh God, I had a setback," or in Alcohol Anonymous, they call it, "I had a relapse."
Right. Right.
So it's just the same situation when you're coaching somebody, a young guy. He could fall back.
Right. Okay. Okay. So folks, the URL for his healingwarriors.com website will be is in the show notes. So it's healingwarriors.com. So out of your 3 books, what would you say? How would we encourage someone to make sure that they not only get one, but they get all 3? What was the purpose of each of the 3? You said Belonging to Yourself is your memoir.
Right.
How about the other 2?
The other two. So I got hernia without surgery. I have a hernia now 14 years. When I walked into a doctor's office, I had a lump, an inguinal hernia on the groin. I walked in a doctor's office, and I was concerned. I didn't know what it was, and he said, "Oh, you got a hernia." I said, "Oh, okay. So what do we do with this?" Right away, any doctor would do. "Oh, we got to set you up for surgery." I said to myself, "I'm no way getting surgery. I'm not going to get." So I did a whole bunch of studies on the hernia, how to treat it, how to maintain it. You're never going to fix a hernia. You're always going to have a hernia, but there's a way to maintain it. I still train. I still bench press. I still a lot of exercise. I was at the gym today, so I said I'm going to write a book. I'm going to teach people if they don't want surgery, because I don't want surgery, because they call it a mesh surgery. They
Right.
open you up, they put a mesh there, and then they sew you back.
Right.
So I didn't want that, because they do fall apart. They do snap in your body, then you're back in there getting surgery again.
Okay.
So am I losing you?
No, you're good.
Okay, good.
It's just
Okay,
my
good.
camera's flickering for some reason.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to write a book. I wanted to coach people along that if you have a hernia, I'm the guy to talk to.
Okay.
There's a lot of different things. The first step is you have to accept that you have a hernia. That's the first step. The second step is you have to have a positive mindset. Don't panic. Oh my God. Don't do any of that. You can get through it. If I got through it, you can get through it.
Right. Right.
Okay. So there's a lot of tips in that book.
Okay.
That will teach people how to maintain your life. You can live a regular life like I do. I live a regular life with a hernia, no surgery. There's no foreign objects in my body, which I refuse.
Right.
And that's the reason why I wrote that book.
So then another book is Natural Testosterone.
Correct.
What was the purpose of that?
Here's my other book, Natural Testosterone After 60.
Oh, After 60. I forgot that part of the title. Sorry.
Right. Okay, so most men at the age of 40, their testosterone levels start to decline.
Okay.
So, you need to every man needs testosterone. You need it for energy. You need it to your libido.
Right.
For muscle. You don't need to be a bodybuilder, but you need it for muscle, because testosterone, that's what keeps the muscle onto the bone. So I myself was losing testosterone. In my life, I did try performance enhancing drugs. I did. I was injecting testosterone, all kinds, Deca, all kinds of steroids. I tried it. So what happened was, when you're young, you don't know what's going to happen later when you take the steroids. So what happened in my early 50s, I was slow. I was lethargic. I didn't want to lift weights, like too much no more. I was feeling depressed.
Wow.
So I said to my wife, I think I need to go get a blood test. So I did. My blood exam came back at 81. The testosterone level 81 is horrendous. 81 is what a woman has.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So again, the doctor said, "Oh, you're a candidate for TRT, testosterone replacement therapy." So TRT, you got to take needles every week, and you got to donate blood every 3 months, because the blood thickens. There's chances of a stroke. There's chances of a heart attack. Like I said though earlier, you do need testosterone. So I'm not against TRT. I'm not knocking it. But if you really need it, then I would recommend you do TRT. In my case, again, I did a lot of studies. I said, told my wife, I'm going to do this on my own.
Wow.
I'm going to raise my own testosterone.
Wow.
So with all my studies, I went back 8 months later for another blood exam, and it's all in the book.
Okay.
Both exams are in this book.
Okay.
It came back 681.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly, Randy. So I was jumping in the holistic doctor's office because that's who did the blood exam. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. I said, you know what? I'm going to write a book about it, and I'm
Yeah,
going to write
for
down
sure.
how I did it.
Right. Right.
And I'm 64 years old. I'm going to be 65 in October. So a man's testosterone should be between 350 and 450.
Okay.
Okay. My testosterone came back 681.
Yeah, I heard that.
I was above it.
Wow.
So I can give you a couple of tips, to your audience. One tip that I strongly recommend to raise your testosterone is vitamin D.
Okay.
Okay. You cannot overdose on vitamin D. That doesn't mean go take 20 vitamin D pills.
Right.
But you can't overdose on vitamin D. Vitamin D is number one on the list. If you can get sunlight, natural sunlight vitamin D, it's even greater than the supplement.
Got it.
Okay, so if you could get 20 minutes a day in the sun, you'll watch your testosterone levels shoot to the roof.
Okay.
Okay, in my book, there's a lot of other supplements, all natural supplements that I wrote about in the book that I did take. Okay, they're all from India, they're from Tibetan, they're from China, all natural extract roots, and that's why today I feel good. I'm still in the gym. I have a body of a 30-year-old. My insides, my doctor, my holistic doctor, said that my blood levels is like a 20-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just mention a couple of programs that I'm fortunate to have. Next month, I'm launching another 8-week program that I call the Lifestyle Champion Cohort, and what that is that's a program for guys that are just struggling with some things in life, and to determine whether you're eligible or not for the program, just go to randymortensen.com, and there's a 21 question assessment there. If the results come back that it's mild or moderate severe case of substance abuse, then you're a good fit for my program. If it's severe, then I've got people in my network that I will refer you to. And if you want more information on that, just go ahead and text champion to 66866. That's champion to 66866, and I will get you more info. There's 3 phases to that program. Phase 1 is evaluate, which that begins with the survey. Phase 2 is equip. And then 3, what I've realized in my 30 plus years of sobriety is once you've had this life change, it's difficult for many people to really know how to enjoy. So we talked a lot about how do you now enjoy the new you, the new life, basically. The other thing that I want to mention just real quickly is similar to Chris. His memoir has been out for a while, but my book titled God Took Me to Las Vegas to Get Sober was just released in the last 3 weeks. And it really covers the journey that I went down. First of all, who in their right mind goes to Las Vegas to get sober? Well, I didn't go there to get sober, but I met my beautiful wife of now 34 plus years there. And 9 months into that marriage is when I knew if I didn't get sober, I was going to be going through divorce number 3, basically. So you can go to godtookmetolasvegas.com, and the book is there. I'm selling on my own before I actually go on to the usual other channels, just because in my audiobook will be coming out shortly too. So, but enough about Randy. Chris, let's go to, we've got about 5 minutes left here. So
Okay.
tell the listeners about your memoir, The Belonging to Yourself, and what really stands out for somebody that has read through your memoir.
Okay, so here's my book, Belonging to Yourself. Okay, you can always reach me on healingwarriors.com. All my information, my contact information is there. Belonging to Yourself, I wrote the book because I always wanted to belong to a family. I come from the broken family that I mentioned earlier when we first started. I always wanted to belong to a family. So whether it was with the company I worked for 18 years, after when I opened my company, I want everyone to be like a family. The bottom line of the book is you got to belong to yourself first in order to have that family that you're searching for. So in the book, it talks about my childhood, talks about how my friend Johnny got murdered, talks about my sister Paula, who was an athlete. She was a marathon runner. She died. She died running.
Wow.
Right. She had an aneurysm.
Wow.
Right. It talked about my father's separation. I talked about my new family that my father introduced me to, his 5 other kids that he had, his wife, beautiful lady. So I wanted to write a book. I married my wife 4 years ago. I want to talk about my wife, unique lady, very different from the girls that I dated throughout my life. So I just wanted to share that, maybe somebody can get inspired by my story.
Right.
Like I said, it's never over.
Right.
If you think it's over, it's not over. There's always another path. And in that book, that'll explain the other path.
Wow. That's great. Belonging to yourself. That's so true. If you get up in the morning and you don't like the person in the mirror,
Exactly.
Nobody else can change that.
Exactly.
Only you, right?
Exactly. Yes, Randy. Yes.
Is what you've learned and so on. And so you've been married 4 years to just a miracle wife, it sounds like, also.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, beautiful lady. We have so much in common. It was like perfect. It was like she came from another lifetime. We were married in another lifetime because we're so good together.
Good. Okay. Well, I want to share a couple of other statistics as to why I'm involved doing a podcast and so on. It's kind of shocking how overdose deaths in the United States have just continued to increase. 2022, there were 109,500 people that overdosed and died. In 2023, that number grew to there's now on average 305 people per day dying of overdose. And so as Chris has shared, just how do you now improve your lifestyle? How do you improve your health? I look at 3 areas of each of our lives. Number 1 is the physical, the biological. Second is the psychological. The third is the spiritual side of it. So I just love what Chris is doing, just to improve people's lives. And I will say this too, if you know somebody who's struggling today, either with their self-worth or their value or just their lifestyle, Chris has a great resource at healingwarriors.com. I would say that if you're battling or know somebody who's battling some sort of compulsive destructive behavior, whether it be pornography, booze, or drugs, feel free to reach out to me at my office number, which is 321-757-HOPE, 321-757-HOPE. If this is you, please don't wait another day to seek help. Chris has got some great things to share with you. And as I said, if I can help you, just text champion to 66866. So as we wrap up, Chris, what are the words of encouragement that you've heard from somebody else towards you, or that you've been able to share to encourage that guy who's just struggling? What comes to mind when I ask you that?
I would say be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself. When you look in the mirror, just love yourself and be true to yourself.
Wow.
If you have any goals, don't let anyone stop you from any goals. If you're talking about your goals with people and they're trying to shoot you down, turn your back on those people.
Wow.
Go for it.
Wow.
Don't let anyone stop you from the mission that you want to reach.
Wow. Those are powerful words. Powerful words. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you found this information helpful today. You can look for the replay of this to be on the usual podcast online outlets. We do have a YouTube channel also, but the outlets are Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many, many others. Just leave you with this. Have a blessed day and be extraordinary today.